Man, the more I hear about this Fallout show, the more I have no idea what to actually think about it. I've heard some reviews that are, yeah, it's good. There's some problems, but it's fine. And then to hear an entire breakdown from somebody that I hold up in a very high regard when it comes to media criticism in the form of Mahler and EFAP, completely and totally break it down to the absolute nuts and bolts of the show that everybody in there has a sub 60 IQ. I don't know what to think about it. But people are liking it. It's driving engagement to the old games. I heard some stat, which I can't verify at all, where engagement with Fallout 4, which is not a very good game, by the way, is up 7,400%. Like, it's absolutely wild. I'm not saying don't like the show because it's bad. I'm not even saying that it's bad. I haven't watched it. I have no first-hand information on it. I played the games. I don't like the games, not the Bethesda ones. Maybe I'd like the original 1 and 2, and there's another one that's over there, over the top of it. I'm not saying don't enjoy those games. I'm not saying that they have to be destroyed. I'm just also saying that just because you like something doesn't mean it's good. Fallout officially renewed for Season 2 by Amazon. So that must mean the series that even Amazon, the reason that they just dropped it in the middle of the week in April, and even though they're used to releasing their prime shows in a weekly model, they might not have had lofty expectations for it, but it ended up overachieving and succeeding. So, hey, I can go ahead and continue to give praise to Ella Purnell for respecting the fan base, engaging with the games, putting her best foot forward. Walton Goggins giving a very good performance. That has been the universal praise so far. This Maximus character sounds like he might have a brain tumor, which is probably why he wants to join the Brotherhood of Steel, so he could have somebody expertly shoot it out of his skull. Guys, Voltec is supposed to be incompetent. I hate that type of cope. It's supposed to be dumb. It's just dumb defense. Or it's like that in the games. Oh, guess what? Whenever you have an adaptation argument and it sucks from its source material, guess what? Yeah, it still sucks, okay? But it's popular, and, well, hey, what's also going on right now in Hollywood? Godzilla x Kong is crossing $500 million here if it hasn't already, so let's just say I recently recorded a video about Doctor Who. In the 15th Doctor wanted to talk about white mediocrity. Well, we could just talk about screenwriting mediocrity, not really meaning all that much going forward. But Prime Video renewed the series based on the popular Bethesda software game franchise and adapted by showrunners Geneva Robertson Dworet and Graham Wagner and produced by Jonathan Nolan and Lisa Joy. Which, yeah, you see those names and it's like Jonathan Nolan, Lisa Joy when it comes to premium television did, Westworld, and season 1 of Westworld is still held up in high regards with a lot of people, but then there were 3 additional seasons, which, less said about those, the better. And yeah, some of the writers, which kind of should have been bigger red flags, one of them came over from the Marvels. Yeah. So I guess we'll have to see what season 2 looks like. Maybe the stupidity that just was hand-waved away with season 1, that'll become more apparent. I kind of think that this is a Mandalorian type situation where it's like, shut up, if you don't like it, you just hate everything. At least it feels like Fallout. And then none of those same band-aids will stick as well once Lizzo gets cast to be a cameo for season 2. The show has given the streamer a welcome buzzy boost, premiering to some of Prime Video's best reviews ever, averaging 94% average positive critic score on Rotten Tomatoes. Yeah, but that's Rotten Tomatoes and that's critic scores. Does that necessarily mean all that much? The streamer also says the show is among its top 3 titles to date, though per usual didn't back up anything with hard data. So yeah, I know it's popular because a lot of people are talking about it. It does in fact has word of mouth. Both good, both bad. I would say overwhelmingly good, which I'm fine with. As many problems as I've heard about the show, hey man, like the show. Like what you like. It's just, if you try to say things are good just because you like it, you're going to have to back some stuff up, okay? Because something else that is streaming right now, we have Rebel Moon Part 2, The Scargiver. Oh, God. And this is finally the point in time where I think this is the straw that broke the slow-mo camel's back, because the shine has really fallen off the Zack Snyder star. I've been somebody who's been not anti-Snyder, but just aware of the shortcomings of Snyder for a very long time. I remember seeing all of his slow-mo brilliance with 300 when he was in theaters and thinking, it's all right, but it's something that's going to age like milk on a radiator. And spoilers, that's exactly what happened for people who also want to praise him, because there's three films. There's three films that he always gets credit for. 300, Watchmen, which I hated the moment I seen it. Overlong, boring, and the characters are paper thin. But he's a good adaptation guy. And of course, Dawn of the Dead. But he had a lot of help with all of those, okay? Different DPs. James Gunn wrote Dawn of the Dead for him. And of course, yeah, he had the source material from Frank Miller for 300 and then Alan Moore's script for Watchmen. But when it comes to some of his later stuff, where he started to have more control over the project, that's where the warts start to show up. And they really, really became manifest with Rebel Moon Part 1, A Child of Fire, at the end of 2023. But there were a lot of Snyder fans that said, it's an original concept, and you say that we need new original things. It's like, okay, cool. If you want to run with that defense, it doesn't make the film any better. And you want to go ahead and run it back by saying, oh yeah, part 2 will make a lot more sense. Well, let's check in with Rotten Tomatoes, and let's just check in with both the critics and the audience, and nobody likes the film. I heard a review of it, and guess what, guys? It sounds like it's even worse than the first one. That begs the question, and Netflix, back when they were throwing around a lot of money, especially in the afterglow of the release, the Snyder Cut movement, there was no more famous, there was no more high profile of a director out there than Zack, so Netflix decided to lock him up for a big multi-part or a multi-picture deal, and first and foremost, he came out with, do you guys remember Army of the Dead? No, exactly. It's out there. You can go watch it on Netflix. I don't recommend it unless, of course, you want to give yourself a migraine. You can go ahead and check if you think Rebel Moon Part 1 or Part 2 are worthy of a Part 3, and as quickly. There's a reason that we started with Fallout, because it didn't take very long after the release of the season for Amazon to go, yep, season 2 is going to be in development. Here we are what, about as much time after the release of the film to current day, and Rebel Moon Part 3. Do we know that's going to happen? It was definitely teased at the end of the film, but has Netflix reached its breaking point? Is this going to be a film that, outside of a couple of people laughing at it for about a week, is anybody going to remember until they have to start up the whole, oh no guys, everything's going to make more sense when the director's cut, okay? If you didn't get enough, if your 4.5 hours of Zack Snyder's insanity wasn't enough for you, we got the Snyder Cut coming out, I think in June or July or something like that. I'll probably pay more attention to it when it eventually does come out, but you're going to have about 7 hours, and there's going to be more blood and sex, and I don't really care, man. He writes like an edgy 14-year-old, and he has the logic of an edgy 14-year-old to back up his critiques. Rebel Moon Part 2, The Scargiver, has been released on Netflix this weekend. The good news, it has indeed landed on top of the service's most watched movies list for the week. Yeah, it's fantastic. A brand new release, a high budget, because I think the two films together, it was $160 million. $160 million. Something that immediately gets dropped on a streaming service, albeit the one streaming service that is actually in the black, turning a profit, that is. But bad news, the movie is being panned and mocked mercilessly by both critics and fans, and it would have to do some serious numbers to warrant further investment in the universe that Zack Snyder says he wants to span 4 to 6 movies in total. No, his specific words were he wants a 6-part trilogy. A 6-part trilogy, Zack. Trilogies are 3 movies. But no, he's threatening us with 3 films that are 2 parts. Like, just tell your story, man. Just hire an editor, for the love of God. Netflix can forgive bad reviews if something is popular enough. Exactly. People just hate Zack Snyder. And another thing, like, there's so many clips that we could pull out from this asshole here in the past couple of months that just would absolutely make your skin crawl. But I'll summarize some of them. He had the audacity to say, if you don't like my films, that is a vote for focus groups, because he thinks outside the box, man. He thinks outside the box by ripping off lightsabers and plot points from much more successful and much more coherent films. He's a visionary, guys, even though you can't see or stomach to watch any of his films for a protracted amount of time without the assistance of Advil. But yeah, if the film, for whatever reason, is just a misunderstood classic and people just get wise to this over the week and then into the next weekend, I understand, talked about it not that long ago when it comes to Hollywood in the cinematic sense. Like, there's not a lot of competition between now and the end of July before Deadpool and Wolverine comes out. Is Netflix going to have her original content over the top? When are they going to be releasing new stuff onto the platform? It might just be a barren desert and Rebel Moon is the only player on the field. Perhaps. That could help. Ultimately, they care about viewership more than they do prestige, but they have their limits. Combine the high cost of the project, Rebel Moon Parts 1 and 2 were reportedly around 166 million, with poor reception and just okay viewership. That is not the recipe for further greenlighting. Au contraire, mon frere, but we'll get back to the okay viewership because Zack has some interesting math to back that up. Viewership for the first Rebel Moon did not break Netflix's top 10 list of all time, so I'm unsure where it might sit within the top 20. And again, Zack thinks that, come on, part 1 is far more popular than any mere list could simply contain. And last we checked, Snyder said it did between 80 and 90 million views. Being a sequel to an ill-received first installment, it stands to reason part 2 will do worse. And then there's the R-rated cuts coming this summer of part 1 and 2 that are supposed to have a simultaneous release, so at least it's not going to have another staggered multiple-day beatdown, probably due to a fraction of the originals, even if they were the versions that probably should have been released in the first place. But no, this is Netflix wanting to run back the release of Snyder Cut hype because, all the Snyder fans, and trust me, they are many, they are legion, think that Zack Snyder's Justice League is better than the original. Spoilers, they're both shit. That's what they wanted to do. Let Zack Snyder have his vision with these director's cuts, but still attach his name and have him intrinsic to the marketing of the quote-unquote theatrical releases, the PG-13 cuts, which a streaming service wants because an R-rated... It makes absolutely no sense, but it's not the worst type of logic that we've seen because you had Zack Snyder saying that Rebel Moon was more popular and had more viewers than Barbie. Like one of those straight-to-DVD Barbie films? Is that what we're talking about? Maybe. You might have a case there, but no. The most financially lucrative film of 2023, both of those projects were probably of equal quality, if we're going to be completely honest, but to try to say that Rebel Moon was a bigger hit than Barbie, Zack, you got some explaining to do. Zack Snyder is offering more clarification about his controversial remarks he made about Rebel Moon and Barbie. In March, he suggested the first installment of Rebel Moon drew higher viewership than Barbie, and he's standing by his math. Oh no, I would say it's kind of the opposite, Zack Snyder told Gizmodo when he was asked if he was implying, that streaming movies are more valuable than theatrical releases. What I was implying was, well, there are two things. One is I'm just going by the numbers that I was given by Netflix. People are like, oh, well, Snyder's crazy. I mean, no, but literally, I'm just doing the math with this, not everyone else. So if we're close to 100 million views times 2 is 200 million views. Yes, Zach, thanks. So people are like, Snyder's delusional. And I'm just like, I don't know what to tell you. Cool. Okay, cool. If you have all of this insight from Netflix, if they're willing to tell you that your film did 100 million views or something like that, can you just simply just do something easy for me? What constitutes a view for Netflix? How many people put it on for the entirety of the film as opposed to how many people turned it on and went, ugh, this is trash, and after 5 minutes just went back to a rerun of a show from the 90s? Can you just clarify that? While Snyder surmises that there were more eyes on Rebel Moon, he still says that Barbie had a much bigger impact. Yes, obviously, which is evidence that movies releasing in a movie theater still give them greater value in a different way. The cultural significance of Barbie was happening when it was in theaters. That's when we all took a bite to the Barbie apple, and happily, I didn't. Just for clarification's sake, I would not subject myself to that level of weapons-grade feminism. And so, my only point is that there is a theatrical zeitgeist, even though maybe more people have eyes on something. Its actual sort of cultural significance is dictated still by the theater. But where did all of this Barbie rhetoric come from? Okay, how did he end up coming to the conclusion that Rebel Moon was seen and viewed by more people than what Barbie had encapsulated? He was on Joe Rogan. He was on, the Joe Rogan Experience, which I had no idea about until I ended up hearing about secondhand. He had a bunch of stupid things to say about Batman and Superman and movie making in general, but that's Zack Snyder whenever he flaps his gums. Yeah, he was running out numbers. It's like, well, if you think about it, Rebel Moon would have made more money because it was seen by more people, and it would have ended up making at what, $1.6 billion had it had a theatrical release. So, once again, Netflix getting in the way between me and Hollywood superstardom. He's an idiot. He is an idiot, folks. But yeah, it's not clear just how many people have been tuning in for the second installment, the Scargiver. Ugh. Though neither film garnered strong reviews from critics, strong viewership, and higher audience scores comparatively, might not be enough for Netflix to move forward with expanding the Rebel Moon universe with additional installments, even though he wants 4 to 6 movies for his double trilogy. Don't threaten us with violence like that, Zack. Just do something revolutionary for the first time in your career. Make something good. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.